Hi, like I said yesterday, I'm gonna put up a quick video of how to use a basic workflow in Noodle Tools so that hopefully you guys will be in a decent place to do it. So the first thing you need to do is let's take a look at what a finished product basically looks like, so you know because how this kind of works. So let's take this socialism thing because it's got 59 note cards. I open it up. It gets to my dashboard. Question, then thesis. Obviously, that's pretty sloppy right there. Sources, this is where you start and you build all your sources. You make your works cited page. And you make new note cards attached to each source so that they're all linked and they always have a label on them. Once those note cards are made, they show up in the note cards view over here. This is where you can drag them around. You click on one of them, fishing. We can take all the fish we need from the sea. That's from fishing from Smith, my princess. Oh, that's the fake one I made. Okay. Let's see. What's a real investments and proposals? So here's a note card. So 18 trillion more is what I called it. According to the estimate by the Wall Street Journal, Sanders' spending plans would cost $18 trillion over 10 years, increasing the federal government size by roughly a third. Wow. Okay. And then it should say the source. Where does it say this? Oh, yeah, right here. Source. Sanders' spending plans would add trillions and trillions from USA Today. So that's my source right there. In your own words, you can paraphrase it, and then original thinking you can put in kind of why you thought that was important. I want you to do that in yours so that you get a quote and why it's important. So this could be scary for people who don't want too much government. All right, that's my thought here. Save and close. And then we've got the ability then to drag this. It's already in my, see that little check mark right there? That means it's already in my outline somewhere. Unselected. And there it comes up right there. So if I click on it there, I can see where it was in the outline. So let's go and then you can drag them in and build your outline by hitting add and stuff. We'll go into a fresh project and show you how to do it with one thing. Independent research. Nothing here. Research question. What's the deal with this theme? This theme is really important. Obviously, when you're doing your own research, you'll have a better question than that, although actually the question won't be that much different. But the thesis that you come up with is going to be stronger. Because how could it not be? But yeah, you come up with a real thesis. So sources. We have no sources. Let's create a new citation. Your first, for your independent novel project, it requires a novel and then also a piece of critical analysis on it. Plus probably Foster, right? How to read literature like a professor. So you're creating the stuff. Creating a new citation. What do you have? You start off with basic categories and you get more detailed. So it's print or in hand. Okay, it's a book. And then it brings up a wizard to make your citation. So who's the main person? Usually it's author. So let's say this is by Steinbeck. No, that's first name. John Steinbeck. Title of the book, Of Mice and Men. If you see a little red star, that means you need to put it there. It's required. Nothing else is required, because sometimes you can't find it, but if you can find it, you should put it in. So publisher, Ballantine. Publication year, I don't remember, 1935. I don't actually have the book in front of me right now, so I'm making this stuff up. You should have the book in front of you. You find it from the front page. Sure, New York, because everything comes from New York, right? Okay, looks like we've got everything we need. We can hit submit. And then we've got our source there. Now, as I read the book, I highlight stuff that I want to use, and then to make note cards, I go back to those highlights and I take the important ones. Thank you for that buzzing bell. I hit new. So, crazy. I'm going to call this one crazy. I tell ya, a guy goes nuts if he ain't got nobody. That's probably not quite right, but it's pretty close. This shows the terrible effect of loneliness on crooks. That's done. It already says it's from Steinbeck, Of Mice and Men. I save it. And now it shows that there's one note card from there. So essentially, I just go through that and I repeat. Make another one. Rabbits. And I get to tandem. Lenny is like a child in his enthusiasm for rabbits. Save and close. Don't overthink it, just slap them down there. Once you're done with that source, you've exhausted that one, you can make a new citation for the next book or whatever it is that you want to do. Now let me show you a trick. Every once in a while, particularly with online sources, they may have a citation already provided. If that's the case, it's already made, let's just pick whatever we want. I'm going to say it's a book again. There's always a way to skip. So see this quick cite, copy and paste a citation? Like if you're taking something from opposing viewpoints where it's like made for students and they've got the citation at the bottom, you just copy and paste it right into this box. Amazing citation. And it overrides the wizard and you get whatever that is. Amazing citation right there. And then you just make new note cards from that. Okay. Once you're done, let's make one so that we have two different kinds of sources. Blah. Barb. Meh. Okay, save and close. Now you go to once you've made all your note cards, then you're switching over to the next view, note cards. Now you can make note cards in this view, but don't do it because they're not automatically linked to a source. You've got to link it to the source manually. And if you forget, then you're like, I got this great quote and I don't remember what it came from. So start in sources, build your note cards there, and then use note cards to organize them. So they all get dumped into a big pile right there. You can start to move them around. You mouse over it, it shows you what's basically on it. If you want, you're like, oh, these two are pretty similar. You can make a new pile and then organize that way. Do not make, okay, in my advice, in my opinion, you should not make them based on source because the whole point of this is to be able to mix 4 different sources on one idea. So organize by topic or idea. Similarly, give them titles. Sometimes freshmen want to call them like note 1, note 2, note 3, note 4. I don't know how to search through a big pile of notes that just say 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that's hard for me. So give them discrete, like genuine titles, and then organize them by. You don't have to pile them. You can just bring them close together. Whatever you want to do. Once you've got them kind of loosely organized in piles, it's time to build out your outline. So if you click on topic, that's the main thing. Research, or let's say it's about serial killers, since somebody does serial killers every year. Subtopic 1, that'll be like your first paragraph, first section, introduction. And then if you click on that and then hit add, it adds a subtopic to that. So introduction, so the first part would be the hook. And then you click on hook and hit add, and then you can actually be like, everybody loves serial killers. So see how I'm basically just organizing by section and then what it specifically is. So but then you can go back to introduction and you hit add and you make a second subtopic of introduction. So then context. And then within context, now see, because I didn't click back on context, I got a whole new topic altogether. I don't really want that. Context, within context, we're going to have like movies. And now what I'm going to do is just drag that into my introduction. And let's drag it into context. So now it's a subtopic of context. Click back on context, hit add again. Movies, books. See, we're going through like things like people, preconceived notions. Good enough. And then we go back to introduction and we hit add again and thesis. And maybe I have a thesis, maybe I don't right now, but this is serial killers make the world go round. Period. Drag it in there. And drag it in again to make sure it's part of thesis and not just inside introduction. And then if I go to serial killers, hit another one, now I've got a subtopic, so body paragraph 1. and then you keep building it out that way. It is pretty much infinitely expandable, so you can drag things in, make it as big as you want. So maybe you've got a section is like the introduction section, and then you've got within that is paragraphs. Break it down however you kind of want, but the more detail, the better. And then you've got like, oh, for the thesis, or for context, here's a really good quote that backs that up. Just dragged it right in there. I got the meh. And then I got like, oh, movies, yeah, rabbits, or crazy, or whatever it is. See? And then you've got your facts and stuff like that are all stuck in there. Final thing. You can export your whole outline if you want, only or with the note cards. You can also export your Works Cited page. So I go back to sources. Once all my sources are put in there, I go to print export, export to Google Docs. And what that'll do, I got a new pop-up blocker that didn't let that happen. Always allow pop-ups from Noodle Tools. All right, so let's try that again. Print export to Google Docs. And then boom, it takes you out, makes a Google Doc. There we go. Works Cited, amazing citation, Steinbeck. It's alphabetized, it's all perfectly formatted. And you can copy that and paste it at the bottom of your essay. Cool? Okay, hopefully that wasn't too long and boring. But that's Noodle Tools in a nutshell. And you'll keep using it, keep building out that project as you move towards your full iSearch so that none of the work you do in this semester gets wasted for next semester.